aboard!
Hey, what's up, everybody? You're listening to Cannabis Karaoke, where we ask you to grab the mic and tell your story. Get inside info from today's most interesting cannabis pioneers, and from the first note to the end of the song, listen up as you get to hear the stories of success on Cannabis Karaoke. We're having a staring contest real quick. We're here, he's here, but we're not blinking, and he can't talk until he blinks.
My eyes are watering.
My eyes are hurting right now.
Real bad.
Real bad. Like,
You should just blink.
like I feel like my eyes are starting to come out of my head. And it's that feeling like it's...
I gotta
I
blink.
can't get a blink.
No, I won. By a
I'm
split
pretty
second.
sure I can. Now I can't see.
I'm blinded, but it's a podcast.
It doesn't matter.
It's audio. It's not audio visual. No
Hey.
part of it is visual.
Welcome to the studio. James
Dude.
Durbin in the studio.
Yeah.
Yow!
man.
Woo!
Yeah,
I expect
baby.
Every once in a while, I want you just to throw out a... Because you have probably one of the best... wows that exists. And that
I don't know
doesn't
what that
even-
is.
That was horrible.
I don't even.
Yeah.
That doesn't even register.
I try, but it's not really my specialty.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Hey, so I'm pretty stoked because, ironically, you have exited the South-ish. You
Yeah.
exited the old Grand Ole Opry area, which I thought was a good move for you, and you're back. So part of this, obviously we talk in and around things, and so you know what we're doing here, but the real premise for this podcast, and I hope you can talk about it because we didn't really do any pre-partying, but,
No,
well, we can pre-party now.
we can partake.
But really, the whole premise for the show is what about cannabis in your life is that going to cause a problem with your contracts? Or anything?
No, I've got no contracts.
Okay. You know how it helps you and like kind of why cannabis? You're not necessarily in the cannabis space, but you're a longtime user.
Yeah.
At least I think you were.
Yeah. Yeah. I am.
So
I am.
what about
Cat's
cannabis?
out.
What I know, right? You're now out of the cannabis closet. One down.
I think though that the people that care enough to know have already known. So, and for me, it's like I benefit from it. So it's not so much as like, yeah, man, I'm just getting fucking stoned, bro. Just getting stoned, man. But like to me, it's like I do it at night. I do it for my, I've got Tourette's. I've got Asperger's, high functioning autism, and it definitely helps me to disconnect from what's going on in my head and basically just like be at ease and be okay. And it's always been around in my family and growing up, and so it was never this bad thing that I should always stay away from. But I also didn't even try it until I was 17 or 18.
Well, so let's talk about that a little bit because you have like some, you definitely have. Believe it or not, you're quite the performer,
Yeah,
right? That's what we know.
yeah,
But you also get a little bit of anxiety around that.
definitely. I mean, there's always anxiety of like, did I do good? Is this gonna like what's this effect gonna have on me? How are people gonna portray this? How are people gonna take this? Because also like as you know, but maybe our listeners don't know, I sing for the '80s heavy metal band Quiet Riot. So stepping into the lead singer frontman position of a notable band that is known for its lead singer frontman Kevin DeBro, who sadly passed in 2007. I mean, it's difficult. They've had other singers since, but now it's it's up to me. And so I never smoke before a show or during a show. It's only after or before bed or something. And on the rare occasion, it's a really great day. Real warm out, toasty. Flip flops on, driving the coastal route home. Bob Marley and the Wailers on. Babylon by bus. Babylon by bus.
You go the whole the full Monty, if you will.
Yes.
When you go into the cannabis.
Yes.
When you go into using, what is your choice? Like I know, but I want you to tell
I
people.
prefer indica.
But what about like? Do you do bong hits? Do you smoke a joint? Do you do vape? Like, what do you do?
I prefer joints.
Mm.
I just enjoy the process of crumbling it up and picking it apart and just I use a roller, so it's cheating. I've never been able to master the art of rolling.
I roll what they call sausages.
Yeah.
So they end up like, and nowadays you can go to the store and get a nice pre-roll.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin.
The Hindenburg.
Yeah.
Smitty.
I like to roll them big. So in my roller, it's an old cigarette roller that my wife gave me. Actually, I don't know if she gave it to me
Or you took it.
or I just took it.
Yeah, you just took over.
Because
on it.
once you get married, you put your weed things with your spouse's weed things. And is weed a dirty word?
No, we'll talk. I mean, so, there's a lot of people that have marijuana, I think, is the taboo word for cannabis. But no, one of the things I always ask is when you were growing up, because the people that are going to come on this show are not first time weed, cannabis, whatever, pot users, they're definitely experienced. And so I always ask them, like, what was your go-to word? Like, hey, let's get high. Like, mine was always like, let's get high.
Yeah.
And it always is the joint maneuver. Even if I'm not a joint guy, I'm more of a bong hit, vape, maybe dab, sometimes edible. But like the joints, because I have to work throughout the day, are never something that I can break and do. So I still need to function. But it's like, what is your go-to word? Some people say, hey, let's go smoke some weed. What was yours?
I feel like it was always weed. Yeah. I feel like it was always weed. See, I had a guy living at my mom's house, and I'll tell you who it is later. You probably already know, but but he lived there, and we weren't charging him rent or anything. He just had to pay me like $5 a day, basically, to live there. And
weed.
Sometimes he'd give it to me in cash. Sometimes he'd give it to me in weed.
It's a pretty good deal, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there was always an abundance of it. So
sure.
My friends group, we'd get it from him, we'd get it from somebody's sister, we'd get it from somebody's mom, from all these different people that grew it, or somebody bring it up from the mountains or the...
And we've been spoiled. Like, I didn't necessarily grow up here in my younger years, but my formidable years, there's not been a shortage of really good weed.
Oh, even the shitty weed's been good.
Yeah. So we're blessed comparatively.
Exactly. We'd all gather from our individual sources, and we'd come together at my mother's house. She was not there at the time. And
shout out to mom, though.
Shout out to mom, Jofi.
She's bad-o.
Yeah, she's great. She's the best mom I've ever had. And so we'd all gather up our supply, and we'd put it. We went. We wouldn't go halvesies. We went, I think, 3 or 4 ways deep on basically a glass hookah.
Oh yeah.
But we used it for weed.
Sure.
So we'd mix 4 different kinds.
Wow.
And we put it in this glass hookah.
They call that blending now.
Okay, we'd blend.
Yeah.
And
to get an entourage effect.
Oh, there was an entourage with my.
So how many hookah pipes out of the thing were there?
4.
So
we called it Destiny.
If nobody's green. And I want to talk about that real quick until it interrupts you. Hookahs are interesting. If you've never smoked out of a hookah, I did a big hookah circle with the guy that does the hash balls. I can't remember his name right now offhand, which is killing me because I could see his face and he's like the ledge and that. And you're literally 6 of you are around going, and then the first one to not pull down but pull in, like you get this it's like immense, like you get a forced hit all of a sudden because somebody else said, I'm done for this second.
Oh, really?
Right?
Oh,
you never had that happen? When you guys did the hookah pipe, that wasn't...
See, that's not something that sticks out in my memory, but I'm sure it did happen. Because I just remember, like, we'd have the hookah going, and then we'd have a pipe going. And then there'd be a joint going. And there was only, like, 3 or 4 of us.
Wow, you're tripling down.
Yeah, it was some, yeah. It was a nice couple years there.
How's a weed, or how's, what's changed? Because I'm a little older than you, just a slight bit.
Well,
maybe
20 years.
Couple years.
Yeah. Couple
so
decades.
When we would smoke weed or get high or whatever you want to say, it was borderline oregano. Like there was the bud. Like if you got a bud, you hoped there was a seed in it so that you could grow that same bud. Because usually it looked a little bit like tobacco almost.
Okay.
Like it was pretty.
Some shake, yeah.
Shaky-ish, right? Now,
Seeds
and then
and
it kind of
stems,
went to, good bud. And then now, like, we're at this point, at least in California, where it's, as they would say, fire. Where it's, like, some of the best smelling weed. And
it just looks good. It's attractive.
Appearance. Yeah.
It's potent. Yeah.
We become a little snobby, I think.
I think so. I mean, as far as I can remember, for myself personally, it's always been buds. So, like, I would... the shake would be like our rainy day fund.
And it was mainly outdoor too, because like
Yeah.
not as many people were doing indoor on scale.
Yeah.
So occasionally you got some indoor, but for the most part it was all outdoor.
I had some family members that were doing some indoor, so it was kind of, it's like I said, it was always there.
Yeah, but now that's almost what it is permanently.
Yeah, everywhere. Right.
Let me ask you a question though. So why don't you do me a favor before I ask you that question? Because I don't want to get into where you've moved. Once you just kind of give a small history of James Durbin, what kind of put you where you're at right now. I saw the cutest picture of you the other day. I can't remember who put it up. You were doing a talent show somewhere.
Oh,
maybe
I
it
put that
was
up.
you. Yeah. Sorry, Stoner.
That's funny.
But dude, you've been kind of performing not ever since obviously since we met, you had just gotten off American Idol, and it was like, but you've always kind of had that performance vein in your blood.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it started, my dad was a bass player, and so though I didn't know him, I grew up with this idea of like, I don't know him, but that guy's like, in a sense, my hero. That guy's covered in tattoos. He's got long hair. He's a biker. He plays rock and roll, and so I always kind of grew up emulating that. And in a really strange way, that's how I've turned out, with the exception of long hair. It's tattoos.
You've had some long hair.
I've had some long hair. I like getting fades now. So.
But now you're looking really hipster with that beanie on.
Bruh. This is the last purchase I made in Nashville before we drove out here for the summer.
So keep going. So talk to us a little bit about James's progression through. Your dad obviously motivated you. Where did that take you?
So that took me to, I always sang. My mom would make me sing, and my sisters were involved in theater, and my oldest sister Deanna was in theater at SoCal High here in Santa Cruz, and they needed a kid to play a small Cantonese boy named Jerome in the play South Pacific, and I am the picture of small Cantonese boy.
I was gonna say dead ringer.
So that was the first time I dyed my hair black and coated myself in complexion cover up.
Wow.
That was just tan.
Nowadays that might not be so well accepted.
Yeah, but I pulled it off.
We'll erase that part.
I had to don the accent. I had to sing in French.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you felt like that challenged you more? Because you're definitely a guy that appreciates a challenge, I believe.
It did. I mean, I was real young. I was like 9 or 10. So it didn't dawn on me then. It was like, oh, I get to dye my hair. Cool. I've been wanting to dye my hair, and I get to get real tan. That's cool. Wear a sarong. It was cool. It was fun. And that just, I got bit by the bug. I got bit by the bug before then. My sister, same sister, Deanna. I have 2 sisters. And Deanna was in another play. She was in Damn Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
At SoCal. And I'd go every single night, and that my mom would take me. She'd just drop me off, get my box of Junior Mints, and I'd wear my little baseball outfit. And I became like a mascot for the show. And all the kids, I mean, this is a high school. It's a high school production. So this is, mostly, there weren't many freshmen in there. It was sophomore, juniors, and seniors. And I became like the mascot, and I'd go to every show. I learned all the songs. I became obsessed with it. And the very final night of that production, they thought it was a great idea, because every final night of a play at SoCal High, you'd get to do all these weird things. You'd get to go off script.
Oh, nice.
And
it's pretty normal, right?
And so they brought me out on stage and let me sing "While We Think About the Game," and they, instead of having me be in the chorus, they pushed me out because they knew that I knew the song, and
sure.
I just took the stage right there. I was like, challenge accepted. All right. But just to feel the energy coming off of an audience, even at that young of an age, because then I was like 8 or 9. And to be able to feel that and understand that at such a young age is like, oh, I've got him. To hold an audience in the palm of your hand, and not that I did at that age, but
that feeling.
That feeling of the things that I'm doing up here, elevated above the audience, are toying with their emotions. It's like the Puppet Master in a way, and I just loved it from that moment on. So then I did South Pacific, and then I did different local play productions for churches and church choirs, and was always in choir. Did choir throughout middle school, then high school, and then I ended up going to SoCal. So then I was in the plays myself, and then after that, I just kept doing stuff. I met a guy, a drummer in a local production of Grease, I believe it was, for kids on Broadway at the Loudon Nelson Center downtown. And he was like, dude, you've got a great voice. I've got a band and we need a singer. I was like, I don't know. I've never been in a band before. He's like, it's a metal band. We're called Leviathan. I was like, what's a Leviathan? He's like, it's like a sea serpent. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I went, and I didn't know until recently, because you told me after going to my mom's house that I grew up in the ghetto. So now I wear that. Now I wear that as a badge of honor, and I look back
it's not really the ghetto, but it's just
pretty fucking ghetto.
It's just okay. So without trying to get too like, I don't want anybody stalking you, but there's a spot in Santa Cruz in the middle of the county, more or less, at least in the middle of the Santa Cruz area of the county, called Live Oak. And there's a running joke that it's Live Oakland.
Oh, I've never heard that.
You never heard?
No.
Oh, we're rolling through Live Oakland right now.
No.
So, yeah, and I don't know what makes it that way, because it's still a beautiful part of the area. It's just kind of this unincorporated area.
I think it's like that's where like the East Side deal goes on.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of people are.
Your mom lives in a very nice house, by the way. It just happens to be in Live Oak, and Live Oak just has that moniker of.
It's pretty ghetto.
It's ghetto. But I love Live Oak. I love me some Live Oak.
Yeah,
I've lived in Live Oak.
I grew up there my whole life, and I was shaped by the ghetto. In the ghetto, and his mama cries. 'Cause if there's one thing that she don't need, it's another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto.
Oh my gosh.
Elvis
fans, or is that's an Elvis song?
That's an Elvis song, yeah.
So sang
it. He didn't write it.
So I want to stay on this track because I want to know the moment. I don't know, maybe you've given this interview, but I feel like I know kind of your progression, but I want you to share with what. There's a moment in time where you go from being that kid that's controlling the audience at 9 years old to I'm gonna take the stage. I'm gonna push myself, because really, gone are the days that someone taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey, Norma Jean, we think you'd be an amazing model.
Yeah,
and we're gonna change your name.
Here's
to
a contract,
Marilyn Monroe. Right?
Here's a contract.
Now you gotta there is more opportunities for people to get there. The Justin Biebers of the world that are on YouTube.
Yeah. But even still, I mean, that's another.
Because you played in a lot of bands.
I played in a lot of local bands.
There's a lot of disappointment.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people saying, y'all are going to be opening for ZZ Top or this or that, and at first you're like, wow, this is so cool. That's amazing. Yes, please take us there, and show me the way. And you do, and it's nothing. So
how do you go from a Santa Cruz area band? There's so many. I mean. Music is synonymous with Santa Cruz, as is action sports, surfing, skating, the lifestyle, right? We're a very lifestyle oriented town, but so many people end up being 50-year-old, let's go play. I don't want to throw out any places because they're all really rad places, but the circuit. Town.
Zelda's.
Oh, see why you do that. I think I would go see my friends play there. I don't think it's a bad thing.
I've played there.
Right.
I've played there since Idol.
But how do you go from Zelda's?
I enjoy it.
Right. I do. I think there's a vaudeville-esque feeling when you can go be on the same level as a performer. It's intimate. But what was that? Just tell the story a little bit about when you decided to try out for Idol. It was pretty new still.
Yeah. I mean, new to me. I mean,
it was new. It was like, what season was that?
That was season 10.
Still new, kind of.
Well, it's more on the back half.
They're still going.
Yeah, technically they stopped and now they're going again.
Right.
They began again.
Is it the same?
Begin again.
More or less.
Okay, so my bad.
70-30. It was 10 in.
Yeah.
Felt sooner than that, but
Do you want me to tell the story? I'll tell you the story.
yeah, I'd love it.
Okay, cool. So I've been in a bunch of bands locally, and I was playing. I mean, really, I've got to give the glory to God. Also glory to my wife, because my wife Heidi, since I met her, she turned me around from thinking that like I just was, satisfied with playing in random little bands around town, and then she really boosted me and gave me that push to be like, dude, you've got something else. And as soon as you start believing in that and are aware of that, and not in a cocky sense, not in
Right.
but in a humble sense of like, you've got something that can push you to a farther place. And I'm on the ride with you. So whatever choice you want to make to do this, like, let's go for it. And just about the time that I met her in 2008, I auditioned for American Idol. I auditioned for season 8 of American Idol. And I had a quote unquote coach, local guy, and that was nonsense. And so he kind of made me believe certain things about the audition process. And so I went and I did it, and I didn't make it past the first round. So I had a little bit of an attitude toward auditioning again. And so then fast forward 2 years later, when I had met now my wife Heidi, auditions were coming back up, and I had been playing in local bands and playing in local shows and performances and stuff here in Santa Cruz. And auditions were coming back. They were going to be in San Francisco. I was delivering pizzas for Domino's at the time.
I think honestly that's one of the things I love about you the most.
Across from the mall, Brown Ranch Marketplace, next to Trader Joe's.
Not the pizza part of it, but just the fact that you really don't give a fuck. You will do whatever it takes, and still be like, "I'm James Durbin." Like, I'm still here. Like,
I'm
no
still
shame,
me, man.
You've gone through the like serious ups and downs since we've known each other. Just because you've tried to be a musician. I mean, musician is like, it's not an easy thing.
It definitely isn't. It's not easy on you. It's not easy on your family. And I mean, you travel a lot for work, and you basically live the lifestyle of a musician without the music part.
Does that mean I'm not that talented?
No, you're very talented.
Thank God for FaceTime though. You can FaceTime back to your family and
yeah.
But so you went up, you did the audition. Obviously,
well, back to Domino's. I was working there as a delivery driver.
They're not sponsoring, so you don't have to mention them.
Oh, I thought you had the app.
No, I do. It keeps teasing me, but
all right, we'll see. There's always teasing. And so, but I saw that Idol auditions were coming, and I put it on the request calendar to request the days off to audition. And the then owners of that location laughed at me. And they said, no, we're absolutely not going to give you 3 days off to go audition for American Idol. You think this is some kind of joke? You're just going to go there? And I was like, no, like I sing. That's my passion. And they said, well, today you're delivering pizzas. And on that day, you're delivering pizzas. And so I just kind of waited, and I was going to wait until the day, and I was either going to call in sick and tell them I shit the bed, or, just something like,
right.
I can't come in. I shit the bed. Ooh, I can't stop crying. What's that, Dave Chappelle? And so I just kind of went about it, but I still practiced. Heidi was still encouraging me and having me try different songs to audition with, and I was still prepared for it. So it came to be the day before auditions, and I went into work like any other day. Both owners were there, and all the employees. So people that weren't supposed to be there got called in to be there that day. And they brought us all in the back kitchen and said, hey, we're bankrupt. We are fleeing the state.
They told you?
Y'all are laid off.
Wait, they told... That's really rare.
They said we're fleeing the state.
Texting, you're like, these people are leaving.
They told us.
Fleeing the state, I don't know if
they weren't firing on all cylinders.
Wow.
Jim and Mary something.
So needless to say, you got the day off.
Needless to say, I got the day off. I went home.
That worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I was freaking out because I don't have a job now.
Right.
But Idol auditions are tomorrow, so we'll worry about that after Idol auditions. And I went, and long story short, waited in line for like 36 hours total, and and continued on and kept waiting, kept going, kept attending the auditions, because the audition process is longer than just what you see on TV.
Sure.
You don't just go and wait in line and then you see the judges. For this was like a 4-month stretch
Wow.
of callbacks and going back to San Francisco for different auditions, and then they came and did a home story.
They really do make it look like it's just this opportunity. Oh my gosh, we discovered somebody.
Yeah,
When in reality,
they were in line.
really they're grooming pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
But for look, they're looking to make the next artist. They want.
Exactly.
They're trying to find the next artist. It's not just how well you can sing.
Well, I mean, even now, I don't know what the numbers are of people that are auditioning these days, because technically they'd be on their like 17th season, but they stopped on Fox at 15 seasons, stopped for a year off the air, and then got re-picked up by ABC, and they've been on for 2. But back then, there were 17,500 people at AT&T Park, and I was one of them.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
At what point through the process did you know, or was it the whole time were you just wondering, am I going to really get away from, this whole situation?
I mean,
I'm going to be able to pull it. Like I'm going through.
There's always that question in your head that like, oh, I'm not good enough. Everybody around here is so much more talented. But then you get to a certain point where you just got to be like, all right, this is what I'm good at. Nobody else here is doing that. I'm going to focus on this. Y'all can focus on whatever you're doing. And it becomes less of a competition, and you more are rooting for each other. You're more.
Well, yeah, you see that on the show where people there's camaraderie.
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, people were crying when people were getting eliminated. It's like you don't want to see your friends go home,
right? Well, plus it's kind of like summer camp, right? Like,
it's totally summer camp.
You've been living with
it's
people.
It's totally summer camp.
You've been living with people for.
You got the bitch, the diva, the
months.
male bitch.
You've been living with them
diva.
for months.
Yeah.
You're eating breakfast with them. You're showering after they've showered. It's this that you're rooming up, right?
Well, we were living in a house, all of us together. Right. We were living in Ocho Cinco's old house.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it was haunted.
That's what you said. We might save that for another show, though.
Yeah, it was haunted.
Because that's a whole story in itself. I want to know more about that. So now, I mean, I do know more about it, but it would be cool to do it on I want you to come back with your guitar and bless everybody. But
I'll write you a theme song, a proper theme
song. You're such you have. So let's talk a little bit about your music, right?
Okay.
Your personal music of what you're doing, and then we'll transition into kind of what your not necessarily paying gig is, but what your professional, because you are a professional regardless.
Yeah, sure.
And then everything that you've been doing led you to Nashville.
And we went to Nashville.
How was that?
How was it? How is it?
How was it out there?
Nashville's cool. It's a cool city. Very cool city.
How do you feel like it helped you with your career?
I mean, I've been able to talk to different companies and secure endorsements. I've got a guitar endorsement with Recording King Guitars and the Lore Guitars through the Music Link. And I've got a microphone endorsement through Lewitt Audio. And really going out there and taking a chance on myself. See, when we first went out there, and we've been out there for the last 15 months or so. And when I first went out there, I wanted to make a record. And I met up with a guy through a friend here in Santa Cruz that was an acquaintance with this guy on Facebook, and I went out to his studio and talked to him about doing my record. And through talking to him, I realized I just want to do it myself. And so I talked to a company I've been working with called Artist Relations, and they get gear to artists, and I talked to them and got microphones and monitors and audio interfaces and all sorts of stuff, and really was able to set up my own small home studio.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm talking real small. I put it in a closet. But it was great because it was perfect isolation.
Yep.
I had my Recording King guitar. I worked with what I had, and I made an entire album. I wrote all the songs, 100%, all my writing. And that was a big goal for me, to be able to do that. And I stepped out of my comfort zone and did kind of a different style. I've done a lot of rock albums and one really pop album, and this one was more like an alternative with hints of country, but not like pop country, radio country, but more like what you'd hear on K-Pig, you know, here in
Right.
Santa Cruz, and it's more like adult contemporary Americana of sorts. And so I did that, and I did it all myself. Heidi, my wife, did the photography, and I edited it, mixed it, mastered it. Got a couple friends to fly in some tracks
So
from
on
Santa Cruz.
on the back of it, does it say written by, produced by,
Yeah,
all the way down?
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's got all of them.
And
And then my wife is credited with bullshit detector.
Oh, really? On there?
Yeah, and photography, bullshit detector, love of my life.
Is that you dropped that?
Yeah, that came out last October. So I actually just last night. Today is Wednesday, June 5th,
Yes.
and I just put out a lyric video for one of the songs that I recorded dash cam style from the hood of the car driving from Nashville to Santa Cruz, and I did kind of I sped it up, did it kind of like it's a time lapse of sorts, and made a lyric video. Just
And
just
that's
did
on
it
your
on my
fan
phone.
page,
That's on YouTube,
Okay.
youtube.com/James Durbin Official. It's also on my Instagram at James Durbin Official.
Nice.
Yeah, you can watch it, the whole thing on my IGTV.
How is that? Do you like IGTV?
This is my second thing I've put up on IGTV. It's fun because I enjoy I have like a shitty phone. I have like an iPhone 5 or a 6 or something. It's old and the camera's not the greatest and whatever, but I like to find free apps and take little videos and like edit them.
Mess with them?
Yeah, and I made I got like 2,000 views on it. Just some little thing I did on my phone for one of my songwriting
That's that
partners and
creative flow
Yeah.
that you have that just kind of comes out. So
Yeah,
let's tie it back
if
to
anything.
No, because you're always, I mean,
But it stems from boredom. For me personally, it's like, all right, well, I'm in my hotel room and I'm bored and I'm gonna be staring at my phone anyway, most likely. You know, probably not watching Cops or like CSI.
yeah, but most people don't. I still think I still think that's a creative piece. It might be spurned by being bored, but I think even if you weren't bored, you're still doing it.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
But
tell me a little bit about.
I've got to be at a position where I'm like, yeah, all right, let's get our hands.
Let's
dirty.
get weird.
Yeah, let's get weird. Let's move some. I'm gonna move these table lamps, and I'm gonna put them on this table in the corner. I'm gonna put out the blackout curtains, and then I'm gonna set some lights here, and then I'm gonna lower the contrast. So all you see.
And then
is
the maid
glow
comes
of the
in and she's
lights.
like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Housekeeping? Only fresh towels? Hello?
So tell me about it when you're out in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
And you want to get your weed. How was that?
Oh, I couldn't get any. Well, I asked a
You
friend.
didn't smoke that fake weed, did you?
No, I asked a friend. I'm not gonna say his name, but I'll tell you.
You tried to have him ship some out to you?
No, I asked like, what do you do to get weed? Because I know he smokes.
Oh God,
And,
that's a bad question to ask sometimes.
yeah. Yeah. I just kind of said like, yeah. The only thing I'm worried about is like, where do you get good weed? And he's like, I haven't had any trouble. He didn't tell me where he gets it. He just said I haven't had any trouble. So I had some we did one of those pods. Those pod
Right. So
moving
you
things. So I
Stashed
put
it
it
super
yeah,
deep in there.
yeah. I put it in like a monkey mask and then put that in like a
Yeah.
drawer and whatever. So I had like a good stash,
But
but
goes
the stash
fast.
runs dry.
Yeah.
We played a couple shows. We played a show, a Quiet Riot show. I'm the singer of Quiet Riot, and we'll get there. But to forward track and then backtrack, we played a show recently in San Francisco on a riverboat.
I remember
It was like
we were texting each other.
yeah, it was like a corporate show, and
Who opened for you?
Vanilla Ice. And so that day, I went to a club up there and got some pre-rolls, and I had put them in my pocket and I forgot about them. But like they're in like a Ziploc bag. They're in like a hermetically sealed Ziploc, and then in there they're in like another
Wait a
cardboard
minute.
case.
Your pants are
and
so
then,
damn
and
tight.
then
How did you not know?
it was in my jacket, not my
okay,
pants.
okay.
And then they were in like these corked
Containers,
vials or whatever,
Right.
and then the little pre-rolls. And so I forgot that they were in my jacket. I just put it through security and went about my day. And then I'm on the plane looking for my chapstick and
Out pulls the pre-roll.
and I felt it there, and I was like, oh shit, oh shit, yeah. I was like 3 levels of like,
Right, you're like, huh,
what's that?
huh,
Oh, is that weed?
huh.
Oh shit, it's weed. Oh shit,
It's
weed.
weed.
Yay! And so
Right?
I went home. And the first thing I told my wife, I'm like, guess what? I pull them out, and they were really, really strong indica pre rolls.
Oh man.
They were minis, but still, like, I
Cherish
usually
those.
get about 3/4 of the way through, and then revisit the roach later. And but yeah, she was like, yep, tonight, and so we did,
and then the next conversation was, I think we need to move back to California because I need weed. So tell me, okay, so before we dish on Quiet Riot a little bit,
yeah.
tell me who smokes weed on American Idol.
Who doesn't?
Okay, good
it'd be
answer.
easier to tell you
who
who doesn't.
smokes. Who on the road when you're smoking weeds, or who surprises you that they smoke weed? Like, oh shit, I didn't know that person would smoke weed.
Well,
I mean, pretty much assume.
I can only tell you who wouldn't be like mad if they heard this, and that's Casey Abrams. But he's not quiet about it. He's lets everybody know. But
Right.
we would hotbox the back of the bus on the Idol tour. That was always fun. That was always a lot of fun. And there was a couple guys on the crew in the crew bus. This one dude, he was like a guitar tech or something, and in every city, he would get like a garbage bag full, and he just distribute it out. And then when he knew that Casey was down and he knew I was down, he'd like feed us a little bit, little baby bird, little baby bird.
That's
There you
so
go, little baby
amazing.
bird. That was awesome.
And
So
so Idol didn't trip out at all.
no, well,
Did
yes
they
and
know?
yes
Oh,
and
yeah.
no.
I mean,
but
they don't
we're-
want you blazed out of
yes
your
and
mind.
no, but we're adults,
Right,
and
right,
it was
right.
only after the show en route to the other city, and then it was just kind of like, all right, if you're holding,
Well, and there's much worse that could be done. Let's
Mhm.
face it. Speaking of which, have you seen that movie Dirt?
the
Motley
dirt,
Crue
the Motley
movie?
Crue. I haven't. No.
Oh my gosh.
I don't.
So
wanna
that,
see it.
it scarred me. Like
I've seen some parts of it, and it just looks depressing.
I was like, it was going around. People like, oh my gosh, you gotta watch it. And just a little fact to age everybody. I got to see Motley Crue and Y&T together when Y&T was Yesterday and Today, just to give it some.
really?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that's what Y&T stood for.
down in good old Salinas area or King City, somewhere around there. I
King
remember
City?
seeing Motley Crue, or maybe I'm just dreaming I did. But anyways, saw that it was on Netflix. I was like, oh, I'll just put that in. I'll probably go to sleep. 2 a.m. I'm like sitting straight up, like, what
the
did
fuck
I just watch and why? And like, not one of those movies where you're like, I think I'll watch it again. It's like, I think once is enough.
I
for
think I
me.
saw the scene. I saw like the car crash scene. And
Oh, I
saw
didn't even
the-
know that. I mean, not to spoil anybody.
But it's not even. But like parts of it are like, it's not. It's not true to fact of like what actually happened.
Well, of course, it's glamorized a little bit.
Exactly.
I mean,
but like,
he still killed somebody.
yeah, but they
Right.
weren't like laughing and
No.
going 40 miles an hour. Like
No.
Vince was driving like 80 miles an hour.
Oh, probably faster.
And we play a lot of shows with Vince. He's a crazy one.
Man,
He looks like a Morlock
what do you
from
mean?
the Time Machine.
Oh yeah, I can
That
imagine.
movie from the book
can
from
imagine.
the movie. Yeah, he looks like a Morlock.
So what? So
But
tell,
he's great. He still performs and
I can't imagine it, dude.
He's
like,
huge.
Is he?
He's
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
huge.
anybody that stops doing. I mean, I think one thing. I'll say one more
No,
thing.
he never stopped.
I want to say one more thing on Dirt. It's like they didn't need to do that much cocaine. Like there was just
Yeah.
like there's a point where there's too much that you're doing, and so other people that have toned back. He may still be. I don't know.
I don't
They
know.
tend to big burp. The body gets like, whoa, I'm not being bombarded by 18 different chemicals a night.
Right.
Like I can relax. So
Yeah, I think he replaced one of them with Pop Tarts. So.
Oh, TM. So
not even like toasted Pop Tarts, just like
just raw.
cold out of the pack.
That's some desperation.
Chase it with a little Chardonnay. Kettle One.
Okay, so Quiet Riot. Tell me when you
Charleston Chew.
Tell me when you. That's a good one. You heat it up just a little bit, or you freeze it.
Dude, I got fucked by Charleston Chew.
What happened? Did you lose a tooth? Did you break a tooth?
It probably helped. It probably didn't help, but on the Idol tour, there's craft services. There's like a
Sure.
craft table,
Uh-huh.
and
They would put out Charleston
they
chews.
they asked what we wanted,
And you said Charleston
and
chew.
but like I I have like an eating problem. I don't have an eating disorder, but like
No, we talked about this one time.
I
about
have
our
like an
bodies.
emotions problem. Like
Yeah.
it's like Fat Bastard in Austin Powers too. He's like, I'm depressed because I ate, and I ate because I'm depressed. You know, and I kind of do the same when I'm kind of like bummed out. You know, like if I'm bummed out and I'm at a hotel, especially, it's like if I've got change, I'll go and get like
So bad.
those like vanilla wafer thing, not Nilla wafers, but like the strawberry, like the Keebler cookie wafer things. I'll get those and I'll just like
One after another. Just
one after. I won't even take bites.
I'll
just
just like a conveyor
go,
belt. Yeah. So tell us about the
go,
Charleston Chew. What
go.
happened?
I used to put those on the craft service on like the rider for Crafty. In every city, there'd be another box of Charleston Chew minis. And if I'd get depressed, I just. But
So what's on your rider for now for Quiet Riot?
I don't put anything.
You don't have anything? You don't have like
There is stuff, but the Quiet Riot rider,
like ants on a log or anything?
no,
like-
apparently that shit's been on there for like 20 years. It's been the same. It's like beef jerky, some trail mix, and
some 2 types of water.
yeah, 2 types. No,
LaCroix.
LaCroix.
LaCroix. Some LaCroix.
LaCroix.
Some grapefruit LaCroix.
And yeah, just whatever else is on there, and like a bottle of wine. And but yeah,
That's the standing Quiet Riot rider.
yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna try to change it. I don't know. We're gonna try to change it from the inside. I don't know. I don't know how to change it. But I just.
So
I
tell
just-
me
I
what
just
happened.
go.
How did that happen? I mean, how did Quiet Riot, like, I personally think like your style of singing fits that really well. I think you're that kind of a performer. Like,
Mhm.
not to say that that genre of music is where
Right.
you should live, but I felt like, wow, that's a good mix for them. And now, let's face it, you've said, you are psyched on the project, right? But
Yeah.
you want to keep performing. But tell us a little bit about how Quiet Riot came about and what was that like?
I had just accepted a spot for a Vegas residency. It was this new show that someone was producing, and it was going to mix magic and singers from reality shows and some musicians. And the way
What
that
hotel was that going to be at?
oh god, what was it called? The Regal? No, the Plaza.
Oh, I know where the Plaza is at, yeah.
It's the fucking Plaza.
Isn't that next to the Bellagio? Like, no, where's the
No,
Plaza?
the Plaza is like down on Fremont Street.
Oh.
It's like old Vegas.
Oh.
It's at the end of
I'm trying to
Fremont.
think. Usually Vegas is just one big blur for me.
Yeah,
So.
we'll keep it that way.
Yeah. Plaza.
But-
So
but
you
the
were going to do a
Plaza-
residency. And
Speaking
then,
of the ghetto, so yeah, we were at the Plaza, and I had literally just accepted a position in a spot in this show, and did the contract, figured out the pay scale, and whatever. And so, literally had just done that. I get a call, I get an email to want to talk from Frankie Benali, drummer and leader of Quiet Riot. And I'm like, oh shit, what could this be?
this is probably spam.
And so I answer it back and send him my number, and he calls me and says, I'm interested in seeing if you'd be interested in being the singer of Quiet Riot. And I said, well, fuck yeah, I just signed on for this Vegas residency. I mean, if I can make them both work. And we quickly came to the understanding that I could not make them both work. And so in that moment, I felt like I had made the wrong choice. But, there wasn't another thing on the table when I had accepted the Vegas thing. So I just went on and said, all right, if God's will be done, then it'll be done, whatever, well, something else will happen. So I went on with the Vegas thing, went down to Vegas, did the show, and we all kind of quickly realized that thing was a bust. And but while I was down there, I reconnected with the guitarist for Quiet Riot, Mr. Alex Grassi, who's now one of my best friends. And, you might know of Quiet Riot from the past and be like, no, it's not Alex Grassi, it's Carlos Cavazza. Well, true. Carlos Cavazza was the original from the Metal Health lineup. And if you want to go back even further, internet, then you would say that it was Randy Rhoads was the original guitarist of Quiet Riot, who started the band in 1978 with Kevin DeBro. But for the time being and for the past 15 years, the guitarist has been Alex Grassi. So anyway, internet. Alex and I reconnected, and I knew him through my attorney at the time, and we exchanged numbers, and he ended up coming to our debut show at the Vegas residency thing, and he was like, yeah, this thing's kind of lame. And so he's like, shortly after the show ended, a couple weeks later, and we kept in contact, and he said, I've got these songs, and
so you actually
if
said
you'd like
no.
to write,
You actually said no.
well, I had no choice.
Well,
we came to the
but you couldn't get out of the residency.
We came to the mutual agreement that it wouldn't work at that time. So, I told Frankie, please keep me in mind for if this comes up in the future, and we'll go from there. So I went and did the Vegas thing, and then met Alex, and we connected. And then the Vegas thing ended, and Alex and I stayed in contact, and we started writing together. We started writing together remotely, him in Vegas, me in Santa Cruz. And he'd write audio, like the music, the instrumentals of a song, and then I'd write lyrics and vocal melodies. So we quickly gathered together a bunch of songs that we'd written together and decided the next step was to make an album together. So I flew down to Vegas. We recorded at Count's Customs, Count Danny Coker's studio, where he does the Counting Cars show. And he's got a badass music studio there. And so while we were doing that, Alex was kind of filling me in, like, current QR singers, like, it's not working out, and you might want to learn the set. And so I looked up the set and I started learning it, just because. And you never know when a situation's going to happen, how quickly it's going to happen. I had a chance to be the singer of Hinder before. I had a chance to be who else? Can't remember the other band, but anyway, just figure. Oh, Stone Temple Pilots, and then shit happens, life happens,
Well,
and
decisions get made.
Exactly, or people die.
Yep.
When you're not expecting it, and so I had learned the QR set list, and Frankie Benali sends over a song to me. He's like, "Oh, I know you've been writing with Alex, and that's awesome. I know you're in the studio. Here's a song that we didn't end up using for the Quiet Riot album because they were making a new QR record at the time with the current singer at that time, and there's a lot of information. I know. I'm sorry." And it's hard to follow. But he sent this song over, and Alex and I were having dinner at the studio after recording, and I said, wouldn't it be funny if I wrote this song now, and then we record it real quick and send it back to Frankie? And we did. And we sent it back to him, and that kind of ended up being my audition, in a sense, for Quiet Riot. And they officially stopped working with that singer, and they brought me in. Alex gave me a call. I was living in Santa Cruz at the time. And he says, what are you doing? And I said, I'm sitting on my porch eating soup, drinking a beer, yelling at my neighbor's kids. What do you want? And he's like, you want to be the singer of Quiet Riot? It's like, fuck yeah, man, I'm ready. I know the set. Let's do it. We did one rehearsal. We actually did a photo shoot before we played a single note together. And then we did a rehearsal, and it was perfect. And my first show is at the Cotillion in Wichita, Kansas in like March 28th or something of 2017. Fast forward to now, I'm still in the band, still touring. We're about to kick off a long, busy summer, basically all of my weekends. So I'll be seeing you, Mr. Danny Keith, during the week, primarily.
Well, it's summertime, so we've already talked about doing some beach days.
Exactly.
I'm excited that
we
you're
gotta
back.
burn some pizza boxes.
And you know what? I hadn't heard that story, so it was fascinating. And I know that there's way more. I know that you gave us the condensed version.
That's the Cliff Notes.
But I think the message out of that, what makes you so. The premise of Cannabis Karaoke is what makes you go. What makes you get up? In your case, you stand up and sing the song perfectly. But most people, you should have heard the recordings of me doing karaoke in here yesterday. What you hear yourself sing and what actually comes out is not usually the same.
Right. Yeah.
But what I'm getting out of what you did is basically you got knocked around, had talent, immense talent.
Thank you.
And was told nothing but the opposite. And on top of it, we didn't even really talk about, I don't want to call it a disability, but you...
No, I mean, it's just something I live with, and and everybody's got their own disabilities or their own
But you overcame
issues
that.
and anything. Yeah,
You overcame
exactly.
that. You overcame delivering. I mean, dude, like what a story. Like that is how things are supposed to happen. I was a Domino's driver.
I still deliver pizza from the box to my mouth.
We just can't have any pizza boxes around us.
No, because
or our
they
kids will catch them on
fire.
fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I
That's
know
a deep cut.
that I'm so excited that you're back. I'm excited that you gave me the chance to interview you on here. I learned a couple things today for sure, but I think again what I was about to mention was the story. The moral of your story is not once while you might have got depressed and you were choo choo on the Charleston chews. You still
All aboard the Chubby train.
You still like. I remember having a coffee with you, and we both you got some chubby bodies right now, both of us chubby
Dude,
bodies.
from my first audition to the very last show on the Idol tour, which ended in the Philippines, from the first audition, I weighed 189 pounds. It's the lowest I've ever weighed in my adult life. And by the end of the Idol tour in Manila, in the Philippines, at the Araneta Coliseum with a terrible sunburn because I got drunk at the pool, I weighed 245
happens.
pounds.
It happens, you know. But you persevered, like,
Yeah.
and you manifested, like, right? The last comment.
That's the most important thing to do, and my wife taught me that, and she taught me like stuff about the
Talk
power,
about it
the
like it's
power of
happened.
now.
Words
Exactly.
matter. Words
live
matter.
live now as though you have already obtained it.
Well, a lot of people will say you only live once. I say no, you live every day, and I mentioned this on another podcast. You only die once.
Yeah.
So you got to really, get up every day, and what seems to get you. You had a talent that you wanted to share with the world. You learned early on that the power of not necessarily controlling people, but
positivity,
like entrancing people
Mm-hmm.
to pay attention to you and only you. On top of it being extremely talented, you've ended up in an amazing place. I'm a little bit biased because I know your story, and I know we've had conversations where you've been like, I need to work. I don't care where I work right now. But
Right,
can you
right.
please help me out?
I mean, but also like my place.
You
where
never
I'm-
had any pride about it though. You just were like, I'm going to be a musician, and whatever I
Yeah.
got to do to substantiate that and make sure I can keep going, worked out. And you even made decisions where you could have walked away from that show or that residency in Vegas and went and did QR, and instead you did the residency, and that didn't work out.
Mhm.
And you still had a chance to be the lead singer at Quiet Riot, which now it is funny when I get texts from you wherever you're at and whoever you're with. I mean, I laughed so hard when you sent me those videos of Vanilla Ice performing on that boat, and because we never know where we're gonna be. Randomly, James and I we'll be in the same town, and we don't even know we're in the same town. And we're like, I'm like 2
Who are
blocks
you?
from you.
Oh my God.
let's hang out real quick. So I really appreciate you. Tell people where they
course.
can find you, like online. Tell them, we're gonna do another podcast, in a couple weeks with you with some music.
and some weed too.
Yes, we need to smoke some weed. We'll go smoke some weed after this.
Yeah.
But what are you working on right now? Where can they find you? And any shout outs that you want
I've
to give?
got a bunch of stuff going on right now. So first off, you can find me at jamesdurbinofficial.com. That's JamesDurbinofficial.com.
Boom!
And also, that's YouTube. My YouTube channel is James Durbin Official. On Instagram at James Durbin Official. On Twitter is at Durbin Rock, as well as Facebook.com/Durbin Rock. I've been dropping videos on my IGTV. I just put out a 2-song double A side single release through Golden Robot Records in a big record label that's based in Australia. And that group is called The New Strange. We just released a cover of Benny Mardones's classic 1980 and 1989 hit. It was a hit twice, baby. Into the Night, as well as our original song called Tomorrow Never Comes. And let's see.
What's up with Quiet Riot? Where
Oh
are
yeah,
you
check
guys
out
at
Quiet
next?
Riot. We're going to be on tour like all summer long. Our next show is actually in San Juan, Puerto Rico,
Oh, fun.
June 15th with Dawkin and Lita Ford.
Wow.
And,
She's
if-
still alive? Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
if you're not there, if you're not in San Juan or you're anywhere else, we've got a lot of dates, and you can get those at
And where can they follow you at Quiet Riot?
You can find those dates and deets at www.quietriot.band.
.band. Okay.
And /shows. Yeah. And if you do come, be sure to tag us on Instagram at Quiet Riot Band.
So, not every guest signs off this way, but I want you to sign off with a trendy song, something, I don't know.
Trendy song.
Just do whatever you want. Like, just basically sign us off. James Durbin on Cannabis Karaoke. Sign us off.
Cannabis Karaoke.
Well, you don't have to sing about us. Sing a Quiet Riot song on the way out. And
I can't sing choir. You wanted to know about contracts.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right, I'll sing my own
something.
song.
Yeah, and on the way out.
All right. Watch me roll up on my old ways when I get tied up from all my choices. When we fire it up, every voice sang from where I've gone. Well, it seems it's a long, long way, but it's where I found myself bandana days. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can get that song on my latest album, Homeland. It's about tying up bandanas and joints.
That's a wrap. Thank you for listening to this edition of Cannabis Karaoke, another kick-ass podcast about all things cannabis. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and our website, cannabiskaraoke.tv. And if you or someone you know would like to be on the show, please hit the book your interview button on the right. Cannabis Karaoke. Grab the mic and tell your story.